All right, we are live.
All right. What is up, everyone? How is everyone doing? We got our September podcast, September anime podcast, in which we watched Fire Force, and we're going to talk about it to y'all. And I better mute this stream. There we go. Anyway, how's everyone doing? I am Neo Tokyo Tempo. Everyone, introduce yourselves.
I am Getsuryu, or Josh.
676 here.
Name's Lewis or Striker, and this anime is fire.
You cut out there. You definitely cut out there. Anyway, um, yeah. How's uh how's everyone doing today?
Good enough.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much recovering from a cold,
All
so
right, there we go.
that's why I've been coughing so much.
Yeah. All right. So we have a bit of a smaller crew than normally. Um
Uh,
uh
Go ahead.
Red Baron had school, I think, so he couldn't make it. But this is our first time podcasting on YouTube, and it is good to be here.
And I am playing Borderlands today just as the background. We're working on more things. We'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
So, but just for right now, this is what
All
we
right.
got.
So Fire Force, of course, came out in the fall of, or not fall, summer of 2019 anime season. To some decent popularity and acclaim. People were quite liking it, and it's easy to see why. It's a pretty catchy action anime with an interesting premise. The premise, of course, is that people uh, spontaneously combust and turn into these weird fire demons that are in serious pain and have little to no mental capacity. And of course, they're a danger to everyone around them, and they're going to die anyway. So the Fire Force team has to go and put these poor fellows out of their misery. Um, and something that happened sort of simultaneously is that people started coming, getting the ability to have pyrokinetic powers in which they can control fire. And as the generations of pyrokinetics, sort of go down the line, they get more powerful, with the third generation being able to actually spontaneously shoot flames at will. Um,
So basically, firebenders at the yes.
yeah, they're kind of like firebenders from Avatar.
Just with
Um,
different fire abilities and
yeah,
specialties, and it's cool.
yeah. So the question, I guess, we'll have to answer tonight is: does this anime sort of live up to the hype generated by its premise, or is it just another run of the mill seasonal action anime? So anyway, let's start off with what we usually do, which is the presentation. How did you guys like the animation?
Uh,
I
Go ahead.
I just genuinely enjoyed the anime. The combat, especially with this, it had impact. It reminded me of when I watched the combat in One Punch Man season one. Like there was a certain gravity to every move that played forth in any of the combats.
Yeah, it is very cool watching fire fly from the main character's foot. Let me pull up Mao so I could look at character names because I'm always bad with character names. Uh,
Shinra.
Shira,
Shinra.
Shinra. Where is it in the list? Why is it not on top? Why is it? All right. Anyway, I'll. There we go. Yeah, it is very entertaining to watch fire fly out of Shinra's foot. Um, and have him propel forward, and you can really feel the impact when he hits something and he does sharp turns. And all the different characters have varied fighting styles. Some of them are really cool, like this one guy using powder and cards to enhance his pyrokinesis. But some of them are not so cool, with another guy using literal bubble gum. I thought that was
Yeah,
a little
some of the gimmicks get
Yeah.
okay now.
I thought that was a little goofy. But
No, no, no. I hate to interrupt, but I think I know what the flavor of gum is. It's it's Carolina Reaper. It's like the spiciest peppers around. So I would say it kind of counts because of the very high Scoville level.
all right. Uh what about you, Josh? What do you think of
I love the animation. I'm a lit like I'm gonna state my bias right here. One of the first animes that I actually fell in love with was Soul Eater. The first time I ever went to like a minicon, they were playing it, and I was like, "What is this anime?" It was just like the beginning fight scene, and I instantly fell in love. So my bias here is extreme. So I'm getting that out right out of the gate. I love this animation style. I love the fighting in it, and I think it presents really well.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's definitely very high quality stuff, and definitely stuff that's well needed for an action anime, and done rather well. Any
Mm.
complaints? Any point?
I could honestly say I can I will have to point out a few, and that's the fact that um, well, from afar, at least in some of the characters look like they've been drawn like very simplified, and that's actually not a surprise because the animation is done by David Production, which is the same company that's also done of all things JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I think
So
that's generally common practice anyway. You know, anyone drawn far away is going to have less detail.
mm,
As long
I
as
could
it's not like the JC staff where like it's all squiggly lined and like mangled when it's far away. I don't think it's a problem.
well, my one of my main complaints is that freaking smile of Shinra's face. But other than that, regarding the animation,
Yeah, that's one of the gimmicks of Shinra's character is he does this goofy
uh,
smile when he's nervous.
It's basically their little prop or crutch to make jokes at any time.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
kind of a joke, but it's also it's very much a reference to again Soul Eater, which was this
yeah, you
it
know what's
based off the
funny?
manga of the same maker, and it's the same smile that Soul had. So
You know what's interesting? I also found what I would call a couple of JoJo references in far ahead regarding some of the poses that the what were those three chicks that were working with
The
the
Angel 3 for I
yeah,
know
exactly,
the what was it? The fire company with what was her name? The researcher. Hold on, let me look it up.
Hibana,
Yeah, Hibana
Princess Hibana.
research team.
Yeah, those three princesses that kind of gave me like this weird vibe between female pillar man and fembot. It's a little weird to describe, but it's I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's move on to the music while we're on presentation. What did you guys think of the music?
I've had the theme song on repeat for the past week.
Yeah. The theme song
It's such a
the
good
theme
theme song.
song I thought was fairly good. I don't think it was SSSS Gridman good,
Nah,
but that's pretty hard to top.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
but
it has its energy, but outside of that,
yeah, I found myself like I liked it quite a bit, but I still found myself skipping it just to get through the show quicker.
I was skipping it to get through the show quicker, but again, that was just to get through the show.
Yeah,
Um, I again, I've been listening to it
yeah,
nonstop. I found an English cover that's awesome.
yeah.
So,
But
uh,
it wasn't one of those
honestly,
ones where like Gridman or Evangelion or something or Bebop where you literally just can't skip it, where it's like a crime to skip it.
or yeah, um, Samurai Champloo, like stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very reminiscent of like the popularity of all the Naruto theme songs is how I feel about it. Where you hear like the Naruto theme song and you get like that nostalgia from like a bunch of the openings or like from like Full Metal Alchemist, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
you would still
it's
skip
actually
it
the
every
mood.
time
It's
that you
actually the
watch
mood.
it, but you'd go back and you'd put it on like a playlist.
Yeah, yeah. Um
The ending's actually better than the intro, in my opinion. I
I
can't be the only one
forgot
who
to
thinks that.
watch the ending at all.
The ending one's pretty good. I like the opening
Are you
more, but
serious,
that's
dude?
just
Damn.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a common habit. I as soon as the episode ends, I just hit spacebar and go to the next episode. Um So sometimes I do forget to watch ending themes at all. But anyway, uh, Mike,
Yeah, I
you've been
actually
shockingly quiet, Mr. Audio Engineer.
I was gonna say with the music for this one, I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it, but it feels kind of eh. Like it's not bad, but it's forgettable enough that I watch the opening and ending for every episode and can't for the fucking life of me remember it.
I remember the opening, but I can't for the life of me think of any of the music, any of the scoring for the actual show.
Yeah, like any of the soundtrack during the show is ridiculously forgettable.
Yeah.
it's very much just background kind of it's basic fighting background mix is really what it is.
Because
Yeah.
on the other hand, like a lot of the sound effects were also fairly on point.
Yeah. I feel like that definitely was the sound budget, was trying to make sure that all the fire sounded like different types of fire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the sound effects for the fire in the show, which is fair enough. It's a show called Fire Force about it's weird pseudo firefighters.
You hope they get
Should
fire on.
yeah, and you get a lot of whooshes and like crackles and kind of various
lot.
other things that
A lot of good like
sparks.
just the sound effects. It sets that ambient tone. So
I'm hearing background noise.
That's me. That's my fiance.
Oh, oh, okay. Um, anyway, yeah, the crackles, sizzles, and all of it's got like this nice clean sound to it, and it has and when you hear a whoosh, it's got bass behind it. You can really feel it.
it adds like that pressure as if you're in a room that's on fire. And it's
Yeah,
like it adds that
and
perfect
it's
bassy pressure.
matched with very fluid fire animation as well.
Oh yeah. Just I don't think they really needed as much focus on the scoring because of the fire is very much the frontier. It's getting that action. I honestly I went back just to listen to it, just to check if there was even any music going on, and like like I went to check and I just found myself just listening to the fire noises, and I was like, wait, was there music? And I had to check like 3 times. It It's barely there. It's very very much just background.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate about the fact that the music is pretty much forgettable. But the fire sounds are very spot on.
Yeah. All right, let's
Uh,
we're breezing through this pretty quickly. Let's shift gears and uh talk about the story because I think this is where it loses it for me.
I think this is where we all kind of differ in how we feel about the show. Yeah.
Now, I think we can all agree that the first episode was extremely well done, well shot. Even though it is very risky to just tell the entire background story of your main character in the first episode, um, they do let it hit. They do it in such a way that it hits home in a well done emotional climax, and it works. Yeah, it works wonders. It's shot very well. It's cut together very well, and um, yeah. But then, for they continue doing that stuff in the second episode, and by that point, I'm like, I know his parents died. Like, you don't have to tell me again.
I I feel like they they threw a lot of information out, and then they brought in a lot of characters really quick. It very much is the setting of. I cannot remember the type of anime is off the top of my head. Basically, what My Hero Academia is, what Naruto is, just these very long-running shows. It feels like they're kind of setting up in that kind of mentality that this is going to be a show that you're going to want to watch for a while, and there's going to be
Yeah.
like it just because we find the ending of one bad guy doesn't mean that we're not going to have more issues down the line.
I feel I feel like they are bringing in too much information too quickly though. Because it's is that they go up for like this monster of the week episode and then like, oh, what important villain, and the important villain barely gets an introduction. You're supposed to care about the stakes of the situation and her motivations, which aren't even particularly well explained or understandable, and you're not entirely sure like why this person's really even involved in all this stuff. And
in other words, you can never tell who's the real villain
well,
because you
no,
have
no, no, it's
Joker.
obvious. It's obvious who's the villain in any at any particular point.
There's
It's
just not enough information about the villains to care about the villain's plot yet.
yeah,
And
Yeah, there's no background either. I
yeah.
find that there's no
Usually,
background.
usually, uh, you either want to take the Cowboy Bebop approach where the motivation of the villain is very simple, revenge or money or something, or you want to take the sort of Full Metal Alchemist route where you're you're setting up the villain for a while, and you're you're very well and carefully explaining over a long period of time what that villain is and why they're doing what they do until the the climax of that villain's arc when they finally get defeated and you finally get that one last reveal which gets to the bottom of who they truly were. And this one seems to be trying to do both at the same time, and it's just not working. It's trying to be very quick while having very deep and intricate villains.
It feels like it's rushing through the same issues that I have with what's the game not game show Attack on Titan, where they kind of present, it's like, okay, here's the big crisis going on, now here's like these weird like side things that are happening that also are causing this thing. And I think they rushed, like they wanted to present the infernals being a huge issue without um bringing in the others too
Big bad.
quickly.
Yeah, and
And
keep in mind
that
that
seems to be the biggest rush.
keep in mind that they start doing this before you even know the main characters or particularly care about them.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like this series could have benefited more from. Like, it had that side or that back, the main plot on the back burner, but it was enough that it didn't really invest me. Like, if each episode of that Monster of the Week format would have fleshed out one of the characters on the team, really, and they did that to a degree. But I think season, or at least this first season, probably would have benefited more from
Yeah,
solely focusing on that development.
I think I honestly think what they're trying to do could have been done with a lot more time. Like if they had like 50 episodes, like if it was like a Full Metal Alchemist kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you can actually draw something else, draw something out, and give everything a chance to breathe. Because the real problem here is that you're bombarding the audience with too much information too quickly.
Oh yeah. I'm more okay with that, just like because I got invested so much into it. But I can see a lot of the issues that you guys are bringing up.
Yeah,
I honestly, uh, I see that like they're trying to tie a lot of things in a little bit too fast. Like they're saying that sometimes there's spontaneous combustion, and then sometimes it's forced, and then trying to draw that distinction as someone like that quickly, and it's like, oh well, but okay, so even if we figure out who's causing this issue, we aren't solving the spontaneous combustion issue. And then they're also like, the thing that interests me, and this is what's really tying me into the show, is how much it's church, state, and science. So like each department has their own reasons and their own ties. So like Department One is more tied to the church, while Department Five was tied to the science branch, and I think Department Six or Department Three, I can't remember which one, is like super tied
Uh,
to the state.
you know what's actually go ahead first, Lewis.
yeah, I cannot say that 8 would be the fire division, but yeah, it's around the same area as 3 and 6 regarding the states.
Fair.
Before we carry on, I wanna point out something I found really interesting. And I'm gonna be quick. The car models that are made in 3D are from JoJo Part 5. I'm not kidding. Every single one of the pedestrian vehicles there are actually from JoJo Part 5, the animation.
I wouldn't be surprised if studios for 3D models are just
Recycling.
buying buying assets from a third party company.
I
Well,
mean,
Um,
I'm not complaining. I just thought it was interesting.
it's
uh,
either homage stuff, or it's, yeah, it's very much these are already expensive models to make, so
yeah.
could
Um,
Yeah,
it
pretty
could
much.
be anything.
yeah. They probably license the car models from some other company that makes 3D models for specifically for animation companies or video game companies to use.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I thought it was interesting because here's the thing: most of the cars are European, and then but the story is placed in Japan.
Yeah.
Regarding I mean, in Japan, I mean, you're gonna see something like a Citroen 2CV or a Peugeot 405 or a Volkswagen GTI. That's fine, but yeah, let's carry on. Let's carry on.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, what one thing that I do find a breath of fresh air in this show is they're not just going oh the church is bad or something like that. It's the it actually has like some sort of complexity to it, whereas like some people are, and I see this a lot in animes that feature like pseudo Christian kind of stuff, like a certain magical index has this too, where it's like some people in it are villainous and some people in it aren't. And they even had a character that rejected the church part be a villain, which was Hibana. I think I'm reading it from across the room. Sorry.
BDSM queen.
Yeah, BDSM.
Uh, yeah,
oh,
the
fifth
Sundere wife.
No, that ain't a tsundere. That is a fem.
That is a femdom.
Oh, you mean the carpet of men?
Yeah.
The throne of man is the
Oh,
throne of man is.
Oh man.
this also brings up. I'm glad you mentioned that. This also brings up another problem I was having with this show, and that is a conflict in tone.
It,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know if I'm supposed to be taking the show seriously at all or not. Like the first episode told me to take the show extremely seriously. Like this is going to be a very heartfelt action drama with a little bit of comedy on the side. But at the at the next but like the 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 next few episodes started almost feeling like I was watching a parody of Fire Force instead of Fire Force itself.
Yeah, some of the
And
comedy is extremely slapstick.
I the and it got sillier and sillier
I will say that this
until
is a this is the style of this manga artist. If you watch Soul Eater, like there is extreme serious moments in it. And like Fire Force is having a little bit more of an issue. Maybe the pacings in the manga is a little bit different, but it's definitely a pacing issue where you can tell whenever it's a serious moment and a fun moment
yeah.
in
I think I think there's this one moment that really illustrates like why I think this is a problem though. And that is when Arthur is fighting that self-aware uh uh,
The
what
Suffer Inferno.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Inferno.
the criminal
And
that
he's getting his ass beat the entire time. And then he it's about to look like, oh, he's gonna fail and he's going to be defeated. And then he goes, oh, wait a minute, I was holding my sword in my left hand. Let me switch. Silly me, let me switch to my right hand. And then he whoops the Infernal's ass. And I know Arthur is supposed to be kind of silly and stupid,
And a
but
bit douchey because he claims to be a knight.
I find it impossible to believe
that a
that
swordsman would have. Yeah.
he wouldn't noticed he wouldn't have noticed that his sword was in his left hand for like an entire fight.
Yeah. The fight that and this is where a lot of the controversy is coming from. Was in episode I want to say 9.
4? No, wait.
No,
Oh,
it
sorry.
was 9. Whenever you got the very scantily clad fight where the one character's clothes is continuously getting ripped
Oh,
off,
Tamaki.
and it's just like getting more and more and more sexual the entire time.
That actually spawned a bit of an outrage with
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
fans, if
of
I
course.
recall
Yeah, of
it it
correctly.
it
course, it
it,
spawned outrage. You know,
it was
it's like these. It's like these people have never seen an anime before or something. Like,
It's like
I
it's
didn't
like they've
have
never
issue with
seen
it,
the
but
fan base. The it's like
you
they've
know,
never
show
seen
show
the.
these guys Golden Boy or something, and let them bitch at that.
yeah,
Ugh.
I
Well,
didn't have any
not
issue with
just
it, but
Golden
it's
Boy.
just
Let let's go start watching a hypersexualized medium of storytelling and then complain that it's being sexualized.
oh no. No, I had no issue with it, but I know a lot of fans did. And my issue with it was less that and more that the pacing of the fight felt completely off because of it. That entire beginning of the fight was supposed to be like this awesome showdown between these two fighters, and then it just felt like so much goofing off.
Yeah.
Um, and normally I'm just completely fine with that. I could honestly care less. Um,
uh, Josh.
yeah,
Mind if I interject for a bit?
go ahead.
I would. God forbid these people watch Orobu-chan Ebitu, which is it looks like a cutesy anime about a hamster, but it's really fucking lewd. God
Well, it's
forbid they
like
watch that.
what do they? Well, it's like what do they even have to complain about? Like they had to have saw all the body pillows coming into anime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like
no, like I have no issue with like having a sexual character like that. And like all the jokes about it up until that point were amazing, and even after that one, the issue was the pacing of that fight was just very much ruined, and then it also made her seem so much weaker because she is supposed to be one of the better fighters, and she's just sitting there just crying in the back. Um, and I mean, like, she's pretty much ended up like half naked in almost every episode at this point, so she should have like at least like some confidence going into a fight, even if like she is more scantily clad.
Well, at least one thing came out of this. Uh, as a wise man by the name of Kazuma Sato said, I yearn for true gender equality, and that gender equality involved lefts and rights. Dude, one of the bills was wailing on her like it was no mercy, dude.
Oh yeah.
Ah, damn.
I did like
Between
that
that
her
and
instinct was to protect the kids though.
yeah,
So like there was good character traits being shown. It's uh, uh, just that entire beginning of the fight was just a little odd, and then the actual fight after that was one of the best fights in the entire show.
yeah.
uh, after this, can we talk about how batshit insane Hibana's backstory was, and how and this is not a spoiler, but she gets a literal wake up call.
Oh yeah.
She
So
was
continue.
so basically in the case of Hibana, uh she used to be one of the she used to be like really introverted. Like she was also one of the a nice she was once like fuck sorry sorry about that basically she goes completely fucking batshit the minute the fire happens. Like, is there a she goes through an existential crisis of sorts and transports her to the dumb we know her as today.
Yeah.
And frankly, I thought it was a very interesting point of view in the sense that she was wondering what if God was even real, where was he when all those kids died, and
I
how
think
cynical she became.
I think it's reasonable for her to come to a sort of atheistic conclusion after that event happens. But
Uh,
what doesn't seem to follow? It seems like there's a few steps missing. Is like why she went totally nuts afterwards.
apparently, she went nuts over being obsessed regarding scientific research. I mean, of all things, she would have gotten a nihilistic route and not give a shit. But there's also her friendship with Iris.
Yeah, that's another thing is I wonder like what separated them and why.
I think
And
we're still yet to hear about that one. I think it's because the one stayed religious, and each branch is supposed to have a
A
uh,
priestess.
yeah, priestess. And I think that they needed a priestess that they could trust, and she was one of the ones that like lived through a tragedy. So it was someone that was better suited for the 8th Squadron.
yeah.
And I think that like we're probably going to find a little bit more about that later, or at least I hope so. But
That oh that I just thought like of another thing that seems to have a sloppy introduction, and that is the whole thing about the 8th Squadron being there to investigate the other squadrons.
I I'm not exactly sure about that one because they kind of mentioned it that it was to investigate the others.
Well,
But I think the entire thing is this is the squadron that's supposed to be holding the other ones accountable whenever they aren't doing the right job. Like they're only in it just to make sure that the people aren't suffering.
okay. Cuz the way I was seeing it, like it looked like you know, what's his face? The main character with the what was his name again? Oh,
Shinra.
Shinra. Um I gotta get a bigger monitor because I cannot read this. Anyway, Shinra. It looks like Shinra like got suspicious because of what one of the villains told him, and then it was like, oh yeah, there's totally a conspiracy going on. We're here to investigate it. Wait, what?
I I'm not
I
exactly
think
sure how the branches are like divided out. I think that that's one of the biggest things that is an unknown. It's like why do some people go to the first? Why do some go to the third and
Yeah,
things like
I
that?
feel like
Like what
it
is the
should
recruitment
just be
process?
well, I
it
feel
should
like
just be jurisdiction by the area that they're assigned to cover.
yeah,
Hmm.
all of that was dumped in that like Fire Force recruit games where they first meet Joker. Like they did that all in one plot dump.
Yeah, that's. I feel like they should have shown the recruitment process or like how you pick which one you're going to. That's the weird thing that I honestly that might just be like a giant plot hole.
Yeah.
You mean the backstory about going to the academy,
Well,
all the training and so forth?
oh no, the backstory about why do some people end up in the third and the fifth, and like why
Yeah,
do some,
exactly.
and then also like why do some get better resources? Because I mean the seventh is just a rogue thing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
did enjoy that where he's just tearing up the town and
Oh
everyone's like,
yeah,
yeah.
that I love that character. Just
That dude's a mad lad.
yeah.
And and then he decided to run up on what as I assume is his sisters, the twins. Like Jesus Christ, man. You're gonna hear about you're gonna hear about how he didn't cause an old lady. Damn, I forgot how what it was. It was a bitch or something. I don't remember much.
Yeah.
I I do remember. I do remember, however, those freaking attacks he did in Asakusa. Holy shit, that was one of the best moments in that anime.
All right. So, all right, we've been running for about 40 minutes, and
Yeah.
this actually went very, very smooth.
Oh yeah.
So I'd say it's about time for everyone to just give their final thoughts. We will not be scoring this.
I think we didn't really get into like we talked about the characters, but we didn't really talk about the characters. If you get what I mean. Like, how do you guys feel about the characters?
Oh yeah, yeah. We
Um,
should do that first.
yeah, yeah. Just
We didn't talk.
it's kind of like
We
the
didn't talk
final
about
topic.
Maki. We
Like
didn't talk
how
about
did you feel
Maki
about like
or
the
the other
individual
people.
characters? Because while I the plot is kind of all over the place. This is more of a character-driven show where it's like you pick your favorite characters, you kind of like uh relate to those a little bit more. So what did you think of like character design,
Yeah.
different skills, things like that?
I,
And we'll
I
go
I
from
do
there.
like the character designs with the sort of firefighter pseudo firefighter uniforms. Um, I also liked um I also found in the first episode the fire chief uh how he acted really sort of added instant characterization to everyone because when he did things like snapped his pen, everyone in the room jumped as if they were scared. Um, and
Wait,
that really,
the lieutenant
yeah, yeah,
Takahisa.
yeah, the lieutenant. He and that instantly tells you something about every that instantly tells you something about him. Um, I liked the sort of rivalry Arthur and
Shinra.
Shinra. For some reason, I can never remember that name. Have with one another. They're always sort of in competition and sort of at each other's throats, even to the point where they're trying to eat ramen faster than one another if you sit them at the same table.
Chew your food. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dun.
Um, yeah, yeah.
I
The
I
yeah,
can't be the only one who likes the chemistry between Arthur and Shinra, but also Maki and Shinra. The guy she is like she let's just say her power is actually pretty interesting. She could turn fireballs into really cutesy fireballs.
yeah. I
And
found
Brent,
her power. I think her power of turning fire off is more interesting though, or at least more useful.
I know that I know the what I'm saying is it's more of a party trick more than anything else, and the fact that Chief goes out his way to extinguish those little fuckers. So that's one of the funnier parts of that
Yeah,
series.
watching her react to the lieutenant just pouring water on the her creation.
Or
So
coffee.
so I had to look it up because I was like, what is this like? What is she saying? Apparently, there's another anime, and I don't remember what it's called. And whenever she's going ba 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 ba,
Oh,
it's actually referring to a character from another anime that has a
Yeah,
giant
bo
afro.
bo 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 bo
Yeah,
bo
yeah,
bo.
yeah.
Okay,
You haven't seen that?
no, I haven't.
Are
Really?
you
All right.
serious, dude?
Okay,
All
well,
right.
That shit was great.
You gotta watch that sometime. It's
I'll put it on the giant
completely
list.
insane.
Yeah, but just like that entire thing of just like um just like watching her go bow 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 bow. It's just like it's one of those like adorable moments that like you start to feel for the characters a little bit more.
I thought I was the only one who noticed that fucking reference. I mean, Jesus Christ. When I
No,
heard when I heard it, I was like,
I saw it immediately. like, I was like, what? Why on earth are they referencing that? Like,
I was extremely confused. I'm like, Bo, Bo, Bo. How many of these are
I
nope,
was fi-
that's the name of the show and the name of the character.
there?
And his powers are he controls hair. He attacks with his nose hairs.
Well, that
Oh,
this all makes a lot more sense now.
oh, this
Yeah.
sounds visceral.
It's and it. I mean, now is not the time to go through the strange and convoluted premise
But
of boba bo bo boba bo, but
also that scene just is kind of like a side thing. If you watch it, the characters move according to what the captain is saying. Like he's like, I'm very disappointed, and they end up in the caution tape, and he's like, but you two will fight, and then they end up outside the caution tape. Like within the next scene, like it looks like inconsistent, but if you're like just listening to what the captain's saying, it's like, oh, okay, so this is actually on purpose. And there's a lot of like really silly things like that.
yeah. Uh, Mike, you've been pretty quiet. Let's hear your take on some of the characters.
Honestly, there were some. Like, I wasn't too invested in Iris. Like, her character is probably the most forgettable. I loved Lieutenant. I loved just how the way he would intimidate the characters. That's the type of comedy I like, where you'd have this straight man that would set others in line. And just the scene that got me was when he throws the clipboard and embeds it in the chalkboard.
You barely. I don't even remember if you even see him throw it. You just like see the clipboard
Yup.
suddenly embed and everyone freezes.
I love his
Uh,
character, and not only that, but
you
when they
mean-
raid Company 5 and he just destroys them.
oh, you mean Takahisa Hinawa? You know where it's Lieutenant
Yeah.
Hinawa?
Yeah, I love the gunplay and just how he's so ruthless.
Dude is fucking creepy, and that's what I like about him. He's
Yeah,
he's
he
just one of the
even-
best characters.
And
Ye-
actually, his backstory was great too when they reveal, oh, that's why he's like.
He's just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, he was just like a normal wait, no, he was just a um army person that just couldn't go through with
Yeah.
killing his friend. And like he's like, even though
Yeah,
I'm not religious, it feels wrong to not have a baptized gun now. So
Yeah, now I think about it, he and Maki go way back because both were from the army, and she is the daughter of a general, if I recall.
yeah, there's a lot of very subtle things like that throughout the
Yeah.
show.
And that's where like some of the character development really excelled, like with Lieutenant, Shinra, and then other characters like I had no investment in.
Yeah,
The only time I cared about him is when he was with Shinra.
yeah, I
Oh,
honestly, I want to go through the manga just to see if like the pacing is the same, because I don't know if maybe the fault of this anime is it only got contracted for like 1 or 2 seasons, compared to maybe it should have been contracted for longer or things like that. So this might be something that needs to be looked into a little bit more. But just the
We-
character quality, like there's a lot of characters that like I like a couple of the characters that you didn't feel invested in.
guys, any thoughts on Akitaru Tobi? Captain Hibana's right hand man.
Oh
Uh,
wait, which one was he? I'm just
Obi was the main captain, I believe, correct? Like he was the one who he didn't have powers, but he had that
Oh.
giant like piston or whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he's the captain of Special Fire Tokyo Special Fire Force Company 8.
He basically dresses like Havel from Dark Souls.
Oh, okay.
Um, I don't actually remember very much of what he did, to be honest.
He actually took he was more just that bit of wisdom for them. Like when they came to the scene, they had their weapons out. You know, like, you're gonna do this. You have
Oh
to also.
yeah, yeah.
He was more or less that mentor in those terms, and
Hmm.
like that kind of moral guide for all the characters in the team. But also, I think he's more comedic relief as well because the whole episode where he's getting ready and they're like, "No, we're already done."
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember now the one where he had all the ammunition,
Yeah, he got all the
all
gear
the
ready,
bazookas and
calls in,
shit.
and they're like, "Oh, well, we like. What do you mean the raid's finished?"
You mean I equipped all this shit for nothing? What the fuck?
Yeah. It, I feel like whenever they get the comedic timing right with the seriousness, it excels, but it's just getting that perfection. They ride that line a little bit too hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
I
right.
very much enjoy the characters and love.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that that's the better
I
part of the show.
enjoyed I enjoyed some aspects of the characters. Some of them seemed half-baked, but I didn't care enough about any of them to be invested in the absolute torrent of information that was being spammed at me.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Um,
So I guess we'll go to final thoughts then.
all right. Want to start and end with the team captains?
Sure. I guess I'll go first then. Honestly, this is probably my third favorite anime this season so far, from what I've seen. I've watched about 5 different ones, and it's been one of the better ones, but it definitely feels more like a kid's show. It feels more geared towards people that used to be fans of Soul Eater and have been longing for this style and this fighting again, but it definitely shows its flaws. If you really liked Soul Eater, you're gonna love this. If you really like characters over plot, you're gonna like this. And if you just like fighting in general, you'll at least like the fighting scenes. And if you like waifus, there's at least one in there for someone.
Or three?
Yeah, like
I don't know.
you'll
There's
find you'll
more.
find your waifu in this pretty easily.
All right.
Um,
Lewis.
Ah, honestly, I I was actually pretty reluctant on watching this series, and it wasn't until last week where I actually binged it for at least one night, all 11 episodes, and honestly, it was a lot better than I thought. I personally like the chemistry between the characters, the subtle nods to other anime, like for example Hibana's eyes, are actually the same as Nia's from Gurren Lagann regarding design. Uh, the obvious references to other series like Bobo Bobo and JoJo in some areas. Honestly, I'm actually looking forward to finishing this show. Uh, I personally I personally think it's gonna be well, I'm gonna keep it short, but it's gonna be a show that you're gonna be surprised and you're gonna quite enjoy for what it is.
All right.
But yeah, Josh said it better than I would say. If you're a fan of fighting Soul Eater or you're finding a wife or two, this is your show, at least for now.
All right. Mike.
This one caught me off guard as well. Like I saw it, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really gimmicky or kidsy, and you can see what Josh was saying. It's geared at kids, but it does have some good delivery and some really impactful scenes. There's flaws in the characters, but there's enough that it's got its hooks in me where I'm gonna at least check out season 2 and finish this one out.
All right. With me, I started out really liking it, especially with the first episode and how strong the first episode was. But then as the show bombarded information, just spammed plot elements out before you really got the time to have any particular one of them settle, and as the show just got goofier and goofier, I kind of it kind of put me off, and I didn't I started liking it less and less. It's not bad by any stretch. I didn't hate my time watching it or anything. But it it seems kind of middle of the road. It doesn't seem like it's like particularly great, and that's not really a bad thing either. I mean, not everything you watch has to be Cowboy Bebop in order to enjoy it. Uh, but uh, but yeah, if you're bored and want to see a cool action show with a cool premise, give it a shot. I'd say. Um, I wasn't the biggest fan, but maybe you might be.
All right.
All right,
Yeah, I think that
So-
pretty much wraps it up.
all right. So I hope everyone has a good night. I hope everyone enjoyed watching. And that's gonna be it. Good night, everyone.
And join us next month for we're gonna be doing a horror anime, so that's gonna be a little bit more fun for us. Yep. Anyway, signing out.
All right, later.
Take easy, y'all.
See ya.